The Oshkosh Area School District's legal counsel determined through an investigation that 2 school board members who use fake social media aliases are not in violation of board policy.
And those 2 school board members are now responding. The investigation says board members Tim Hess and Kelly DeWitt's legal counsel acknowledged the 2 ran Facebook pages under the names Mike Melter and Missy Green. The 2 Facebook pages have since been deleted. New at 6, Drew Beth joins us now live from the Fox Valley newsroom with responses from Hess, DeWitt, and the district. Drew.
Bill and Cammie, the investigation started after a complaint was submitted to the school board on January 8th, alleging that 2 school board members were in violation of the board's policy on member behavior, communications, and code of conduct. And the complaint argued Tim Hess and Kelly DeWitt used the fake accounts to undermine the board and district, saying the profiles shared deceitful and untrue information on several board topics, including Title IX discussions and the upcoming referendum. However, the investigation determined insufficient evidence exists to find a violation of that board policy. The Oshkosh Area School District releasing a statement following the investigation. It reads in part, quote, "Regardless of the determination, this is a serious concern and this behavior is not in line with our expectations of each other as elected officials. We believe that our community deserves both the facts and our collective commitment to ethical and professional leadership," end quote. A joint response to the investigation from Hess and DeWitt reads in part, quote, "We believe the complaint filed by the citizen in question was nothing more than a partisan attempt to cause division among a board and censure views that and opinions with which the complainant disagrees. We are pleased that the board's investigation found the complaint to be without merit," end quote. Tonight at 10, we'll speak with an Oshkosh woman about how today's information impacts a community who is set to vote on a referendum at $197.8 million in just 60 days. Reporting live in the Valley newsroom, Drew Best, Action 2 News.